Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Angel K, and I am back with another video. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today I'm going to be talking about something completely different. I'm going to be talking about what it's really like to work for Uber Eats. You got to let it go. When it won't let go, go. When it let go, you when it let go, go. When it has to let go, when it let go, go. The reason I really wanted to make this video was because I've been seeing a lot of things on Twitter about people who work for Uber Eats or DoorDash or one of like the rideshare companies, delivering food companies, and there's been like a lot of complaints and a lot of people like crying about how much they've made. And I'm not vouching for these companies. I'm not saying that they don't have a reason to be upset, because like I've seen a lot of people like really upset, and like in the comments like people are replying back to them saying like the same thing has happened to them and they're not making enough. Like they'll drive an hour away to deliver some food and they'll make about $2 and the person won't tip, and then people are saying, oh yeah, that's messed up, like people need to tip more, blah blah blah. I want to talk about my experience and why I've never gone through that, and like how much I've made doing Uber and how it was for me. So that's the reason I really wanted to make this video, because not saying I don't want anybody to not drive for Uber Eats, like it's completely up to y'all. It's like it's everybody's different experience with it, but I don't think anybody should be deterred away from it just because like what you're seeing on Twitter, what you're seeing, like it's like, oh, it's so bad, you're not gonna make money. I think for me personally it was a good experience. Like I don't drive for Uber Eats anymore. I'm actually not working at the moment, working on my businesses, but I don't drive for Uber Eats anymore. I don't do DoorDash, but when I did do it, it made sense for me at the time, and it was very like lucrative. It was very beneficial for me. I made some good money. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna kind of talk about my background and how I got into Uber Eats in the first place. So I was a waitress for about a year when I was living in Jersey. Not even a year, like a couple months, and I hated it. I didn't like dealing with people. So I got into Uber Eats and DoorDash, and I made a lot of good money, honestly. I did that for a couple months. I'd have to say like my best month ever was $900. Not my best month, my best week, because you know you get paid weekly. So my best week was $900 and something, about $1,000, and that was because of all the promotions that was going on, and that's because like I was doing it like all day every day that week. So that was like a really like good week for me. And then when I moved to Georgia, I was a waitress again for a couple months, and then I started like getting into some other stuff. And just a few months ago, like starting in September, I got into Uber Eats again. I didn't do DoorDash because I got fired from DoorDash. That's another story time. Just to make the long story short, I didn't do nothing crazy. I was just trying to do Uber Eats and DoorDash at the same time when I was in Jersey. And I was like getting my orders late. Like I was delivering the orders late. And so DoorDash got tired of me and they fired me. So I can never drive for DoorDash again. That was my fault. I was being really greedy. I was like, let me do these both at the same time. Didn't really work out in my favor. So when I moved down here, yeah, I was a waitress for a few years, and then I started doing Uber Eats last year in September, and I still made about the same amount that I would make in Jersey, probably a little better to be honest, but it was about the same. It was about the same, nothing crazy. And I kind of changed the way that I would work, so I wasn't just out here like accepting all orders at any times and driving all day every day. I developed this method to kind of maximize my time and, you know, use my time wisely and do things right, because like I said, being a waitress, I knew when people are eating. Like obviously people are going out to eat usually on the weekends, and the busiest times are lunch and dinner, which is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So it's the same thing for Uber Eats and DoorDash. You're literally gonna get the best orders between those times, from lunch and dinner. So for me, I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to pretty much focus on. So when you get into my earnings, when you get into how much I really made, I'm gonna show you guys on the screen. The first like month, I guess, the first like 2 months that I did it, I really pushed it that first week. So I made about $526 and I drove for 36 hours. So if you really calculate that, I did the maths, and that's about $14 an hour, which is above minimum wage, which is pretty good.
And you can see I drove for like 6 days. To me, that's a lot. Looking back at that now, that's like way too much. You guys are gonna see how like I decreased my hours and still made about $500 doing the same thing. If you go to the week of September 28th, I made $447 and I drove for 24 hours. Then the week of October 19th, $340, I drove for 21 hours. And then the week of November 2nd, I drove 25 hours and I still made $518. So when you go back to my first week, when I did September 7th, $526, and I drove for 36 hours. Then for this week that I'm looking at right now, I drove 25 hours and made $518. So I decreased my hours by 10 and still made about the same amount of money. And when you look at the chart, I did Monday and Friday a little bit, like nothing crazy, but I did do those days a little bit. Obviously the orders were probably not that good, so I just went home. That's one thing about me, when the orders were just not coming in, if it was real cheap, like $2, $3, I'm not accepting those orders, because they're telling you what you're going to be making and how far you're going to be going before you accept the order. So when I see that, I'm not going to accept it. And like back then, like when I had started, they had this thing like, if you don't accept 3 orders, they're going to take you offline, but you can just get back online just as fast. As soon as they say, oh, you're offline, tap to go back online. And I did that until I got a pretty good, decent order. To me, a pretty good, decent order around that time, like back in November, like last year, was between like $8 and $10. So I was accepting those orders. I was good with that. When you fast forward to the holidays, now after Christmas, because obviously like around Thanksgiving, around Christmas, it's okay, but like you got to take into account, like most people are with their families, they're at home, they are not really gonna be ordering out. But the week after the holidays, that's when you're gonna get a lot of money. So I didn't work around Thanksgiving. I was actually like doing other things. But the week after Christmas, I drove 20 hours and I made $510. So then that's 5 hours even less from the $518 week. That's 5 hours less and I made $510. Now when you do the math, $510 divided by 20, that's about $25 an hour. And that's pretty freaking good. That's pretty good. That's why I say, like, you got to really drive at the good times. You got to catch it at the good times. Like, you can't be trying to drive every single day. This can't be like your full-time job. Like, this is something that you're doing all the time. This is the one thing you're relying on and you don't have no other source of income. Because if you're going to be doing that and you're trying to pay your bills with just this, and you have to work every single day in order to, like, you're gonna get frustrated. It is gonna get to a point where you are getting desperate. And I think that's like the point that I never reached, because it was just never my main source of income. And I was just like, you know, I'm just doing this because, yeah, I want to be able to have money coming in. But if there is a slower week, if there is a slower day, I'm just not gonna work. I'm not gonna work. I'm not gonna do any $2, $3 orders, because it's literally a waste of time. So I really just wanted to make that little disclaimer, because I feel like if you use your time wisely and you notice the trends, like especially in your area, because I know people do it in different areas, it might not be as busy as where they are, but when you start to notice the trends and you're looking at the map will show you where you're going to get a lot of orders and where like they desperately need people. So if you go to those areas, you're bound to make more money, as long as you're like just keeping track of what you're doing and really being aware. And then I do want to point out the fact that my best week, I made $785, close to $800. And you can see I did 36 hours. So I did do almost every single day. I worked 6 days those week. 6 days those week. What? I worked 6 days that week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Took a break on Sunday and I made $785. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that my net fare, as in like what I actually made from the company itself, was $410. And then from promotions, $44, blah, 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 whatever. And then the tip I made $330. So that's another thing. The tips are going to be the biggest thing from how you get your money, because for me at this time I got crazy a little bit. I was like, I'm not accepting anything less than like $12 or $13, because it is kind of annoying when you're constantly driving around for like $6, $7 orders, $8. Even $8 started to like make me a little upset, because when you do get a $15 order, when you get like $20 orders, and then you got to go back to getting like $5 orders, you're like, no, I actually want to do the $20 orders again, thank you, because you're just making more. You're making more. So like when you're actually accepting the order, they tell you how much you're getting, including the tip. So I'm never gonna be like, oh, this is a $10 order, I'm hoping that when I get there they'll tip an extra $5. Like, no, I'm not gonna bank on that. If I want to make at least $15 on an order, it has to say $15 on my screen before I accept it. And people can adjust their tip once you actually get there, so they can decrease it or increase it. I've probably honestly had like 2 or 3 people decrease the tip after they got their food. I'm not really sure why, because most of the times people are tipping me like way extra. I've had people tip me like extra $10 on top of whatever I already accepted. So around the time that like I was like not accepting anything that was less than $12, $13, yeah, I was getting like really psycho. I was really getting like, no, I am definitely not accepting nothing that isn't decent. Because there was a day where I was getting like $20 orders, $25 orders, $26 orders, and I was so hyped, because those orders weren't even that far away. Some of them would be like 45 minutes to an hour, which is still pretty good, because that's like $25 an hour, but it just has to be worth the time, you know. And when I started doing that, at one point I was receiving orders for $28, $32. That was my highest order ever, and I was geeked up that day. I made $32 off of, it was 2 orders though. They were like, okay, you pick up 2 orders from the restaurant and you deliver to 2 different places. So it was about like an hour in driving time in total, maybe an hour and some change. But once I saw the $32, like, that completely messed my head up, because I'm like, okay, I want this to keep going. I want to keep making $32 for each order. Like, I don't want nothing less than that. Of course, like, I learned to chill, but once I reached that peak, I was like, yeah, you'll never ever catch me accepting no $2, $3 orders, $5 orders. Absolutely not. And so it's just kind of sad to kind of see people, you know, they're really upset at the fact that they drove all this way and only made $1 off of an order because you accept it before you click on it. And that's why I say it shouldn't be your main source of income, because Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub, Instacart, whatever else there is, these are all going to be very unpredictable, like really unpredictable. So I don't really think nobody should be sitting here like, oh, you know, this is just going to be what I do, this is how I'm going to pay my bills, this is how I'm going to feed my kids. I don't think that you should do that. I think personally you should only do Uber Eats and like Grubhub and DoorDash and all that stuff on the weekends, because that's when it's going to be really busy, and have like something more reliable during the week. And I'm not in any position to tell anybody what they should be doing with their lives, but I just know for me, if I have like real responsibilities, I have real responsibilities. I have my rent, I have my car note, I have my insurance, I have like things I need to pay for. But like if I have like kids, or if I have something that's really like, I have to make sure I'm making money from this, I have to make sure I'm getting a decent paycheck every week. I know if I got a $2 order, if I know, like, if it got to that point where I'm like pinching and I really need this money and all I'm getting is $2 orders, I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to like lose it. I know I'm going to lose it, because for me, yes, there are days, and that's one thing I really want to stress, like there are days where it's going to be cheap, very cheap orders, especially during the week. It's going to be bad. It's going to be some bad days, some bad weeks. When those came around, I took myself home. I don't care what time it was. I don't care if it was still early, if I could. I don't care that, oh, I only made $15. I would take myself home. And that's why it's like I can't speak for everybody's experience, because it's just different for everybody. But I'm just saying, like, if you're thinking about doing it, it is good. It is like a nice side source of income, but I wouldn't bank on it for everything. If you really need to make money, I wouldn't sit up here and be like, okay, let me just do Uber Eats, hopefully that everything works out. I just wouldn't do that. And then another thing that's unpredictable because of Uber Eats is the weather. Obviously the weather will factor into it, because now that it's like hotter and it's summer, you're still gonna get good orders, you're still gonna make good money, but most people are gonna be outside. More people are going outside to eat. They're, you know, outside enjoying the weather. And I can't relate. I still order from Uber Eats sometimes, but people are outside enjoying the weather. People are outside living life, and they're just not necessarily going to be ordering every day. So that's another thing. Prices, you know, pay, tips and all that is not going to be the best during the summer, but you will still make money, because I've done it during the summer too. But when I did it during the winter time, when it was really cold and, you know, COVID was still kind of out here, whatever, people were ordering so much and people were tipping real good. People were tipping so good. Like, one time somebody had tipped me so good and I was amazed. Like, I was so gassed. I think it went from like $24 to $40. I was like, yo, I was so surprised. I was actually like, that's it for me. I reached my peak in Uber career. No, but yeah, so that's really what I wanted to share. I wanted to just kind of share my experience and, you know, let people know that it ain't all bad out there. And, you know, people in the comments, I think I mentioned this earlier, I'm not sure if I said this, but people in the replies on Twitter, they'll sit here and say, oh, it's the company's fault, it shouldn't be up to people to tip, like, you know, you shouldn't be basing your money off of tips, blah blah blah, the company should pay more. It's the same for waitresses, that the companies, like wherever you work, should pay you more. Which is, like, I understand that it's true to a certain point, because obviously I've been on the side of delivering food and I have been on the consumer side as well. Like, I'll order from Uber Eats in a heartbeat. The fees be kind of crazy sometimes, but if I really don't feel like leaving the house, I will order from Uber Eats. And sometimes I just don't want to tip. Sometimes I'll tip, most of the times I won't. And I know that sounds hypocritical because I was a driver myself, but those fees are really crazy. And if I want some food, I know that there's going to be somebody out there that's going to deliver it. Like, no matter how much it costs and no matter how much they're getting paid, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to deliver my food. And that's another reason why I do think that people need to kind of stick together when it comes to Uber Eats. I think people should kind of have that collective consensus, if that makes sense, that you're just not going to take anything less than a certain mark. If people decide, oh, you know what, we're all just not going to take anything less than $10, I think personally, and this might just be me living idealistically or living in a utopian society in my head, I think that Uber Eats and DoorDash, Grubhub, they will all change their pay. I think they will. I think they won't have a choice, because they're going to need drivers. They're going to need people to, you know, pay to work for them. So that's just what I think. But like I said, for me, I'm not going to accept anything that's lower than that. And I think if more people start doing that, it's really going to change things. Because if there's going to be somebody out there, if there's always going to be somebody out there that's accepting the $2, $3 orders, then Uber Eats is going to continue to pay that. They're going to be like, okay, like, if somebody's still out there doing it, here. But if people take a stand and be like, okay, you know what? We're all not going to take this. Like, they're going to have to pay more. And I don't know. I honestly think that's what they did for me, because there was a period in time where I was only getting good orders. Like, when I was completely not accepting the cheaper orders, like, I'll notice that I'm like getting decent stuff, decent. Now, you know, it still fluctuates, but it wasn't no $2. So yeah, I think that's all I really have to say about it. And I hope that this video was a little informative. I just wanted to really make this so that people kind of see the other side of it. It's not all the way great, like, oh, you make $3,000 in 1 week. I see people like trying to say that. I've never experienced that before in my life. probably won't. I don't know. That's not me. That's not my journey. I'll probably never sit up here and work every single day from sunrise to sunset and try to, like, no, that's too much. So for me, I maximize my time, minimize my efforts, my energy, and save that for what I really want to do. So yeah, I hope this video was pretty informative. If y'all have any questions, just drop them below. But I think for the most part, it's pretty explanatory. And yeah, I hope y'all got a little bit from this video. And go ahead and check out my other videos as well. I will be posting pretty much every week. That's like my schedule. And yeah, just make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.
You got to let it go. When it gonna let go.